When we think about American politics, the word divided probably comes to mind, right? But what if I told you about an election that was less of a political battle and more of, well, a coronation? A moment when the entire nation seemed to speak with a single voice. Today, we're diving into the presidential election of 1804. A landslide that wasn't just a win, it was the moment a young, fractured country decided who it really wanted to become. Just get a load of these numbers from 1804. The incumbent, President Thomas Jefferson, pulls in 162 electoral votes. His opponent, Charles Cotesworth Pinckney, gets just 14. That's a whopping 92% of the vote, one of the most lopsided victories in all of American history. I mean, for a country that was literally born from revolution and argument, how is that even possible? So, that's the big question, isn't it? How did this happen? How did a nation that was so bitterly, fiercely divided just 4 years earlier suddenly come together and deliver such a unified verdict? To really get it, we've got to rewind the clock a bit and see what America looked like before this massive shift. So before 1804 gave us that moment of unity, America was, to put it mildly, a fragile republic. It was more like this patchwork of states kind of loosely held together by some pretty shaky deals. The whole idea of a national identity wasn't a sure thing at all. It was a huge open question, and a lot of people were skeptical it could even work. And this quote right here from Charles Pinckney himself, it just nails the whole vibe of the era. States pursue their interests with less scruple than individuals. For so many people back then, their main loyalty wasn't to the United States, it was to Virginia or to Massachusetts. The nation was still just an experiment. The real deal was your home state. And wow, does this lay it all out there? This really gets to the heart of just how fragile that early union was. Right from the very beginning, a huge bargain was struck. The northern states, which were all about commerce, got the power to regulate trade. And what did the southern states get in return? A terrible guarantee. The federal government was forbidden from banning the slave trade until 1808 at the earliest. The country was literally built on a bargain with slavery, a deep moral and economic fault line running right down the middle. And all this tension, it absolutely boiled over in politics. The election right before this one, back in 1800, was the polar opposite of a landslide. It was a nasty, brutal fight so close that it took 36 separate votes in the House of Representatives just to pick a winner. The country was seriously on a knife's edge. So what in the world changed in just 4 years? Well, the answer, it turns out, it's all about what happened during Thomas Jefferson's first term in office. It was during these few years that a series of major events started to melt away those old state-first loyalties and forge something totally new, a shared American identity. So what was this new identity? Well, historians usually point to 3 main ingredients. First, you've got this idea of expansionism, this belief that America was destined to just grow. Second, a really fierce sense of national honor, a refusal to be pushed around by anyone. And third, a move towards democratization, the idea that the government should listen to the common person. And Jefferson's presidency, it championed all 3. And you can see it play out right here on this timeline. 1801, Jefferson tells the Barbary pirates no more. 1803, he pulls off the Louisiana Purchase, literally doubling the size of the country. And then, in 1804, the American people respond with that unbelievable landslide. You can draw a straight line connecting these events. So let's break down exactly how Jefferson managed to build this incredible new consensus. We can really think about his super popular first term as standing on 3 main pillars, 3 big things that spoke directly to that brand new American identity. Okay, pillar number 1, standing up for national honor. For years, the United States, like a lot of European countries, had been paying tribute, which is basically protection money, to the Barbary states in North Africa so their pirates wouldn't attack American ships. Jefferson just decided enough is enough. So in 1801, when the ruler of Tripoli demanded even more money, Jefferson said no. And this decision, this refusal to pay, it sparked this incredibly powerful slogan that just caught fire across the country. Millions for defense, but not 1 cent for tribute. This was a huge statement. It announced to the entire world, and maybe more importantly to Americans themselves, that the United States was not going to be bullied. And people absolutely loved it. All right, on to pillar number 2, This one's all about that big dream of an expanding nation. Jefferson often talked about creating an empire of liberty. And boy, did he deliver on that promise in the most spectacular way you can imagine. So in 1803, in what has to be one of the greatest real estate deals in history, Jefferson's administration buys the Louisiana Territory from France. And just like that, poof, the country doubles in size. This move secured the all-important Mississippi River and opened up a vast continent for a new generation. The Louisiana Purchase was seen as this monumental achievement, and it just supercharged the nation's imagination and its dreams of expansion. And that brings us to pillar number 3, and it's a simple one: prosperity. There was a temporary peace over in Europe, which meant American trade was just booming. The economy was humming along, people felt secure, and they gave credit to the man in the big chair. So you've got a strong economy, a respected foreign policy, and a bold vision for the future. That was an absolutely unbeatable combination. Okay, so now that we have all that context, let's circle back to the election itself. All of a sudden, that landslide doesn't seem so mysterious, does it? It really does look like a verdict. The American people got a taste of Jefferson's vision for 4 years, and they were voting for a second helping. So here they are again, those incredible numbers, 162 to 14, over 73% of the popular vote. This wasn't just a win, it was a mandate. The Federalist Party, the party that had dominated the government just a few years earlier, they were basically reduced to a fringe group completely out of touch with where the country was headed. But it's the scope of this victory that is just mind-blowing. Jefferson won 15 out of the 17 states. And get this, he even managed to flip Federalist strongholds like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. This wasn't a North versus South thing at all. This was a truly national victory that united the country behind one person and one vision. So what's the big takeaway here? What does it all mean? Well, the election of 1804 was so much more than just a re-election. It was the moment America basically voted to ratify its own identity, an identity built on national honor, continental expansion, and good old-fashioned prosperity. That fragile, bickering republic of the 1790s was gone, and in its place was a confident, united nation ready to make its mark on the world. And that brings us to one last thing to chew on. What if it had gone the other way? What if the 1804 election had been another bitter, knockdown, drag-out fight like the one in 1800? You have to wonder, would that fragile republic have even held together? We'll never know for sure, of course. But what we do know is that this incredible landslide victory provided a foundation of unity that would go on to shape the entire American century.